Okay, I think, Sandra, are we ready?
Yes, we're ready.
Okay, I'm Mitzi Bauer. Good evening. I will now call the August 26, 2021 North Clackamas School Board meeting to order at 6:31, I believe. Let's first start with a moment of silence for the 13 U.S. service members and the many, at least 60 Afghan people and the large number of people that were injured today in Afghanistan at the airport. So we'll have a minute of silence. Thank you. Next then on our agenda is the native land acknowledgement. Director Way, would you read that, please?
Yes, thank you. We acknowledge the land on which we sit and which we call the North Clackamas School District rests on the traditional and indigenous lands and village sites of the native peoples of the Kalapuya, Chinook, Malala, and the Clackamas. We take this opportunity to offer gratitude for the ability to learn, work, and be on this land and be a community on this land, and we offer thanks to the original caretakers of this region. We recognize the historic policies of colonization, genocide, relocation, and assimilation that affected Indigenous and Native families, both past and present, and that will affect those in the future, and honor the resilience and revitalization of our Indigenous and Native communities. We pay our respects to the elders, both past and present, who have been the stewards of this land throughout the generations.
Thank you, Director Way. Just a reminder, our current online meetings are in compliance with all of our policies, board policies, and HB 2560 amended policy and ORS 192.670, which requires telephone and electronic meetings to be held in compliance with ORS 192.610 to 192.690. And we're finding that many more of the community is available to meet with us on this electronically. Next, we have some board business to take care of, and the first is the minutes. Is there any correction to the minutes? If not, do I have a motion to approve the August 12th, 2021 minutes?
Director Benaloga, I move board approval of the August 12th, 2021 minutes.
Thank you, Director Benaloga. Is there a second?
McVeigh, second.
Any discussion? Hearing none. I think I can see everyone. If all of those in favor, raise your right hand. Okay, great. All opposed? Seeing none opposed, the minutes for the August 12th, 2021 meeting are approved. Next is consent agenda, which only consists of employment changes. Is there a motion?
Director Way motions that we approve our consent agenda.
Thank you, Director Way. Is there a second?
Director Schradel, second.
Thank you, Director Schradel. If no, any discussion? If no discussion, raise your right hand. I see Director Benaloga, McVeigh, Way, and Schradel. Thank you. So the motion has passed, approved the consent agenda. Thank you very much. Next is our community comments. And I do want to let you know we have received a lot of letters. And as Chair Ford last week also kind of summarized the number of areas of input, I'd like to do that because I think it was really quite helpful. And then we'll have our speakers. But at the since the August 12th, 2021 meeting, the topics that were sent to us were concerned the need for health concerns to enroll in the virtual online program, yet there was concern about losing a spot in the dual immersion, concern for protecting those younger than 12 that were unvaccinated and their families, and to encouraging us to take every precaution possible to protect those unable to receive vaccines, urging the need to use the most recent COVID data when making our decisions, and looking at all possible options. Consider CDL, hybrid, or distant learning models as options for opening or delay. And I'm putting a lot of the topics together. Request board meetings held in person in support of masking indoors and/or outdoors. No masking outdoors during school day or any activity. In support of vaccines for staff. Urging improved ventilation if needed. Need and thanks for returning to full-time 5 days a week. Concerns about lunchtime and recess protection from COVID, requesting more guidelines. Information shared concerning antibody testing and urging us to implement with the county. Thanking Superintendent James for her leadership and staff and board. Need for more exercise for kids, therefore no masking outside. And thanking you for the option of the virtual online program. So one other reminder that this portion of our board meeting is, this portion of the board's public meeting is for the community to bring forth their input to the board. The board listens, there's no response. We follow up maybe by staff later. The policy that pertains to this is policy BDDH. Anyone wishing to speak before the board, either as an individual or as a member of a group, may do so by following the district's guidelines for public comment. These printed guidelines are available at each board meeting. Any individual desiring to speak will submit their name, address, and group, if any, that is represented. And a speaker should give their name, the group, if any, that is represented, and should limit his or her presentation to 3 minutes. Time may be extended at the direction of the board chair. Speakers may offer objective criticism of district operations and programs that are of concern to them. The board is restricted from hearing and will not consider complaints regarding any individual district staff member or any person connected with the district. And to be consistent with past practices, we will time the 3 minutes. Director Benaloga will serve as timekeeper, so be looking at hers. She will show a yellow card at 2 minutes, a red card at 1 minute, and then again the red card at 3 minutes. So thank you very much. And I believe we have 3 speakers, is that correct, Sandra? That
Yes,
signed up?
There's
Okay.
3 speakers. The first one is Angela Pedersen.
Okay, thank you. Welcome, Angela. Are you here? Let's see, I think you're mute.
Can you see me?
Yes, and we can hear you and see you.
Oh, good.
Welcome.
Okay. Welcome. Hi, my name is Angela Peterson. Thank you, board members and Superintendent James, for the opportunity to share my comments. I'm here tonight to request 2 specific policy adoptions for the district based on recent personal experiences. Can you turn that down? Number one, that no North Clackamas staff member ever take to media of any kind to accuse students of a suspected crime or suspected racially motivated behavior prior to a complete investigation of the event. Second, that no North Clackamas staff member ever invite students to view surveillance video in a suspected crime. The personal experience I'm referring to happened when, prior to any investigation, a subjective interpretation of the senior prank that happened on May 23rd at Clackamas High School prompted an almost 7-minute Instagram video to the official Cavs Instagram page the morning of May 24th, where it was alleged that the senior prank was racially motivated and was a hate crime. The Oregonian was contacted. Every local and several national news outlets picked up the story with the headline that a hate crime had happened at Clackamas High School. The Clackamas County Sheriff's Department was eventually contacted, and after viewing all of their evidence, it was determined that no hate crime had ever occurred. In the midst of this discovery, those in leadership invited particular students to view a surveillance video of the senior prank to assist in identifying students involved. This act alone violated privacy laws and resulted in the falsely accused students' names being spread throughout the community while adding false speculation and horribly damaging lies of what actually happened. The students who were singled out were guilty of one act, and that was for the act of placing a Trump sticker on the window of the school. This decision was immature and made a mess for the custodial staff, for which they apologized and did 3 hours of community service, but never did it occur to them that anyone would view this as racist or hateful. These students ended up receiving hundreds of terrifying graphic death threats. Their names, addresses, and future colleges were shared across every social media platform. Many letters were sent to their prospective colleges to keep them from being admitted. Their graduation celebration was completely overshadowed by a disruptive protest. We contacted the Portland police to request extra patrols at the ceremony because of the death threats. Racism and hate crimes are abhorrent, and had there been a hate crime, all of these students and their families would be equally outraged. We have always and will stand in solidarity with others against racism. We count on our leaders to make statements and decisions based on facts rather than opinions and emotions. Please protect the future students and community from experiencing this kind of trauma by adopting the policies I suggested. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Angela. I think you were right on time. Is that right, Gina? Yeah, hold it up just a little higher if you can. Next is it Tara Nelson? Is that correct? Sandra?
Yes, Tara
Yeah.
Nelson would be our next speaker.
Thank you. Go ahead, Tara. Welcome.
Greetings, my name is Tara Nelson and I'm a parent of 2 children in the school district. I want to talk about 2 things, one being meetings governing body open public. That's part of ORS 192.630 4 little a capital B. Open public, the meetings shall be held at the administrative headquarters of the public building. When that effort isn't made, it showcases barriers to the public. An example, the American flag and Pledge of Allegiance. The US flag is in every government building and every classroom because it belongs there. If you're going to school in the USA and you are a citizen, it is to remind you that you are part of this country. Many people have died under that flag, providing us with the rights that we have today. Previously, soldiers today. May peace be with their families. I ask that you consider modifying protocols and tools to include the Pledge of Allegiance regularly. It is a remedy for today's decisive times. This would be one step in constantly reaffirming our unity and community while demonstrating that while we may all differ in political details, we love the same country. Supporting the pledges placed in a public decorum. We have so few opportunities to publicly demonstrate our unity as a nation. The second thing is about masks. It appears that most of Oregon school boards have decided that our kids should go to school every day wearing muzzles. I have listened to the arguments and have found that the arguments are lacking evidence, data, facts, and human decency. The truth is, COVID poses almost no risk at all to our kids. A total of 4.2 million children have tested positive for COVID, and only a total of 0.0006% 6 of them have died. What about the flu? The CDC estimates that 480 kids died from the flu in 2018-19 season. That's more than half that have died in the year and a half of COVID. Did anyone suggest during those years to wear masks? Do you realize the psychological damage that is done to children by forcing them to cover their faces, teaching them that the air is toxic and that everyone around them is sick? Have you considered the health damage it causes children when they're forced to breathe wet, snotty, spit-soaked rags on their face every single day? What about the children learning to read when they can't even see their teacher enunciating words? When a child has a hard time breathing, it does cause anxiety and makes it hard for children to concentrate and learn. Oregon ranks 5th from the bottom of nationality in academics. That's disgraceful. That means Oregon's children have fallen below grade level, especially during this last year with online learning. Children have a lot of catching up to do. It also, when a child has a hard time breathing, it does cause anxiety. Apologize. The ORS 339.288 flat out prohibits anything that puts pressure on a child's mouth and also prohibits any type of medical restraints on children's mouths and makes it hard for them to breathe. A mask should be a choice. Every parent should be able to make that choice for their child. The governor's mandate is absurd. As a district, you have that authority from her to make those decisions. Our parents, we are fed up. Let's go back to reading, writing, math, and true history. We need to get and maintain our kids in school 5 days a week, full time, without masks. Thank you for your time.
Thank you, Tara. And next is Melanie Taylor. Is that correct, Sandra?
Yes, I believe her name on the invite or the login name was a little different.
You're next.
So Melanie, are you here?
Oh, sorry. Oh, can you hear me?
Yes,
Oh, thank you.
you are Melanie Taylor. You just have a different last name that appeared.
Yeah. Yeah, my name is Melanie Taylor Wolcock. I have children in the North Clackamas School District, and I'm here to speak about the current application of CSC within the district. I believe that it's important to team up with the parents and of the students. I'd like to share my experience of over the last 2 years. My daughter, over my daughter's 7th and 8th grade year, there were some alarming moments, and I'd like to go over them. Rock Creek Middle School would give health for 1 semester. She had this class on the second half of the year. I'm unsure why, but the teacher chose to wait to the last 2 classes to go over the mechanics of sex and the ways to protect themselves against STDs. My daughter learned at 12 years old the difference between oral, vaginal, and anal sex. They taught them about how to use a condom and a dental dam. If you're unsure what a dental dam is, ask a 12-year-old, because that's what they were taught. They taught what I call the mechanics of having sex in all ways. I was appalled that they did not, that they did this right before the release of summer. Do you know what they didn't teach? No means no. Or ask permission before you touch somebody else. And when we called to inquire about this, we were told that they had to wait a full school year until the 8th grade to cover no means no and ask for permission. So now these kids have gone out for summer vacation to possibly experiment and not given all the tools. Just the act of having sex safely. There's also the abstinence is the safest to avoid pregnancy, to avoid STDs, but she wasn't taught that either. Or that sex is involving with emotions and what that means for responsibility, or the ability for parents to be involved and to say, hey, you know what, you went over the act of sex. Can we sit down and have this discussion? Or any of the subjects that they go over, whether it's, the gender choice, the act of having sex itself. I did not understand why they waited until the following year to say no means no. And why wait to the last couple days of class to dump the information on the kids right before summer vacation. Is this something that was done to dump on the kids within a couple of days to avoid the ability or have the parents' ability to opt out? I implore a request with the school board to work with the parents to have the links available, because when we requested the links from the school, the links didn't actually work. Again, we talked with the principal, and every time we would click the button, it wouldn't work. So if there's a way that maybe to incorporate the parents, their beliefs, because we would like to have a choice. We'd like to teach them our values as well as whatever the school or the state of Oregon is saying to teach the kids. And we'd like to work with the teachers. So I just would love to have a syllabus maybe given and the ability to opt out of it or opt into it. So thank you so much.
Thank you, Melanie. Okay, thank you all for your input. Next on our agenda is Superintendent's report. Dr. Shay James, you're on.
Great, good evening. We're going to go ahead and put a PowerPoint up. Fantastic, thank you.
Yep, okay.
So good evening, Board of Directors, and to others who are watching this evening. Our staff is working very hard to prepare for the opening of school. We're solidifying our plans and welcoming staff and students back into our building. And while I still know that there are many unknowns out there, I would like to publicly thank our staff for all the hard work that they are doing to prepare for the start of the school year. You will notice as we start this school year, we have many new faces with us. And with new faces, it brings great opportunity and new learning. And so we are so excited to introduce our new administrators to you this evening. We have brand new administrators, some who are experienced but new to our district, some who have worked with us and moved into new roles, and just a variety of different ways that they have come to us. And our communications department has been hard at work in preparing a fun video to introduce you to our new admin team. And with that, we will learn a little bit more about our super friends and their superpowers. And many of them have joined us this evening. And after the video, we'll take a second to have them introduce themselves and share their job titles and where they're located. So we'll go ahead and watch our video.
It's the world's greatest super friends. Gathered together from the cosmic reaches of the universe, here in this great hall of justice, are the most powerful forces of good ever assembled.
John Arntzen, Assistant Principal Athletic Director at Clackamas High School, also known as Arnie. His superpower is being detail-oriented. Kelly Rhea, Principal Alder Creek Middle School. Her superpower, she can cook a fantastic chili. Chanel Munoz Francisco, Assistant Principal Alder Creek Middle School. Also known as Chanel Munoz Francisco. His superpower, learning new skills by watching YouTube videos. Michelle Doyle, Assistant Principal at Rao Middle School. Also known as Mimi. Her superpower, she's crafty and creative and loves a good art project. Mayra Gomez, Executive Director of Curriculum, Instruction, and PD. Her superpower is being an older sister. Her friends call her fun. Curtis Dunsky, Assistant Principal at Happy Valley Middle School. His superpower is being able to parent 6-year-old twin boys and keep his sanity. Karina Brusese, Principal of Milwaukee El Puente Elementary. Her superpower can shift from one conversation topic to another in the blink of an eye. She is also known as Caranucci, a name given to her by her father. Jen Burkhardt, Early Learning Coordinator. Her superpower, remembering the big picture. She would like to be called Pip. Jeff Green, Principal of Mount Scott Elementary School, also known as Jeff Green. His superpower is that he can find things. He takes great pride in finding missing earrings. He also likes to think that he's a good dad and educator. Jason Bolt, Assistant Principal at the new Urban High School, also known as Mr. Awesome. His superpower, dad jokes. But this superpower comes at a great cost, as he only knows 25 letters of the alphabet. But he doesn't know why. James Pritchard, Associate Director, Transportation Services, also known as Dad. His superpower, wiggling his ears. Jackie Brody, Principal, Oregon Trail Elementary, also known as Jackie Brody. Her superpower, mother of 2 twin toddlers. Yvonne Dibley, Assistant Superintendent of Education, also known as Bonnie. Her superpower is that she's bilingual. Greg Newman, Assistant Principal, Adrian C. Nelson High School, also known as Greg. Friends and family call him GPN. Superpower, being a kind heart. Erin Garvin, Special Education Coordinator. Her superpower is the ability to remain calm. Erin Buck, Special Education Coordinator. Her superpower, she's survived 4 teenagers. Chris Chavez Torres, also known as Chavez, Assistant Principal of Milwaukee High School. His superpower, being a great storyteller. Brian Cates, Assistant Principal, Lot Whitcomb, Linwood Sojourner, also known as BC, or Cates. His superpower, he's able to put down a bag of chips in a single bite. Zoe Booth, Assistant Principal at Clackamas Web Academy. Her superpower is being able to play pickleball right and left-handed. Her only nickname is when she's playing pickleball, her kids refer to her as AARP. Douglas Jenkins, Coordinator, Data Analysis and Accountability. His superpower, educating. Barnaby Glogger, Associate Director of Student and Family Support Services, also known as Barn. His superpower, the ability to open cereal boxes without tearing the cardboard. Hillary Pinkston, Assistant Principal at Rex Putnam High School, also known to her friends and family as Hill. Her superpower is that she's an avid rafter, and she can raft most major rivers in Oregon, Idaho, Colorado, and Arizona.
Dedicated to truth, justice, and peace for all mankind. The world's greatest super friends.
So as you can see, we have a great group of administrators that have joined us, and lots of superpowers that I'm looking forward to getting to know, as you can see. So that's kind of fun. We're going to stop and take a second, and I will just read out their first name and ask them to tell you their full name and what their position is and where they will be located as well. So we'll start with Barnaby.
Great. Hey, everybody. Evening. My name is Barnaby Gloger, and I am the new Associate Director of Student and Family Support Services. I have an office in the district office, and I can't wait to get out and about to all the sites and see all the great work that's happening and support it. And I am thrilled to be here and part of the North Clackamas community.
Thank you, Barnaby. Brian. Brian might not be with us, so we'll keep going. Chris Chavez.
Hi, good evening y buenas tardes. My name is Chris Chavez. Me llamo Cristian Chavez. I am a new assistant principal at Milwaukee High School. Soy uno de los nuevos subdirectores de la preparatoria de Milwaukee. Glad to be here. Mucho gusto. I'm excited for the year.
Thank you, Chris. Happy to have you. Doug Jenkins, are you with us this evening? All right, didn't see him come in. Erin Buck, I did see her.
Hi, I'm Erin Buck. I'm a special education coordinator, and I will be working with the Milwaukee feeder system and our elementary SLCAs.
Welcome. Erin Garvin.
I'm Erin Garvin, and I'm another special education coordinator. I'll be working with the Putnam feeder systems and our elementary TLC programs.
So you can see we have two Erins. We're going to have to use last names so we can identify them and make sure we know who we're talking to. Greg Newman, are you here? All right. Hillary.
Hi, I'm Hillary Pinkston, and I will be the assistant principal at Rex Putnam High School this year.
Welcome. So excited to have you join the team. And you have met Yvonne Dibley, but it would be great if she can just introduce herself again.
Hi, everyone. It's great to see everybody. I'm Yvonne Dibley, Assistant Superintendent of Education, and I'm thrilled to be back in North Clackamas School District.
We're happy to have you back, Yvonne. Thank you. Jackie.
Hi, I'm Jackie Brody, and I am excited to join the team as principal at Oregon Trail Elementary.
Welcome. Thank you. James Pritchard, are you here?
Good evening. My name is James Pritchard. I'm the new associate director over at Transportation Services. And just actually looking forward to getting started up. Starting tomorrow, we have our drivers out on the road. So
James has been working hard all summer trying to make sure that we are routed and ready to go. So thank you to you and your team, James. Appreciate it. Jason Bolt. All right. I think I saw Jeff Green. Jeff, yep, there you are.
Hi, good evening. Jeff Green. I'm proud to serve as Mount Scott Elementary's principal. Really excited to be here. Thank you.
Thank you. Welcome. And Jeremy Cohen wasn't in the video, but we have about 3 folks that were fairly new hires and we didn't have in the video, but we're going to make sure that we all know what their superpowers are soon. Jeremy, are you here? All right, we'll catch him next time when we make sure that you know who he is. Pip, Jen Burkhart.
That's finally sticking. Thank you, Shay. I go by Jen, but I love that Pip might be a thing. I'm the new early learning coordinator and I'm housed at the district office. However, I hope you'll find me in the block area in some kindergarten classroom, learning alongside our youngest scholars. So super excited to be here. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Jen. And Jen joined us last year in February during really tough times as we were moving into hybrid and has really been getting us up and going in early learning. So thank you. Arnie.
Hi, everybody. I'm John Arnson. I am the assistant principal and athletic director at Clackamas High School and super excited about this new opportunity.
And John is a longstanding North Clackamas employee and super happy to have him on our admin team. So already putting in a lot of work. Thanks, John. Karina.
Buenas noches a todos. Soy Karina Brucese, directora de la Escuela Milwaukee El Puente de Inmersión Bilingüe. Karina Brucese, incoming principal at Milwaukee El Puente, which is a neighborhood and DLI program. I'm super excited. Can't wait to see those kiddos. I just got through with those Jumpstart kids, Jen, and it was awesome. So can't wait to see more of them.
Thank you, Karina. I got to hang out with her and some of our kindergartners at Jumpstart. I think it was yesterday, and that was exciting. I was nervous when I first went in with the kindergartners, but they put me right at ease as we had a little bit of fun. So that was good. Katie, are you here?
Yes, hello, I'm Katie Cunningham. I'm serving as Administrator for Equity and Student Enrollment and Transfer at the district office. And I'm just raring to go. I can't wait for the school year to start.
We're excited to have you, Katie. And Katie is also another employee that's been with us for a while in a new role, and we need to find out what her superpower is as well. So we'll get her in a video soon. So thank you, Katie. And I know I saw Kelly.
Yes, here I am. I'm Kelly Rhea, and I get to be the principal at Alder Creek Middle School. And I just have to say, I cannot wait to get our teachers into the building next week and get started with the school year. Thank you.
Thank you, Kelly. It's been fun watching you get Alder Creek up and running. So thank you for your work and service. Is Curtis with us?
Hi, I'm Curtis Debsky, the assistant principal of Happy Valley Middle School, and I am very honored to be working here, and thank you for this opportunity.
Thank you. I saw a few eyebrows go up with the twins that you are currently
100%.
managing. You and Jackie have your hands full. So yes, welcome, Curtis. Thank you. And Myra.
Hello, everyone. I am Myra Gomez, Director of Teaching and Learning and Professional Development. I'm so excited to be working with this amazing leadership team. And there's just so much to look forward to this year. So I'm looking forward to all of that.
Thank you, Myra. It's just been great having you on our team and love working with you. So welcome. Michelle Doyle, are you here?
I am. Good evening, everyone. I'm Michelle Doyle, and I am one of the assistant principals over at Rao Middle School, and I'm super excited to join the admin team this year and to meet all the students and teachers in the coming weeks.
Thank you, Michelle. Welcome. Michelle was previously our recruitment and retention specialist. So happy to say we have retained her in a new role in North Clackamas, and we're happy. So it worked. Good job keeping yourself, Michelle. Thank you. So is Chanel here? All right. We will hopefully get him here soon. And I believe Seth is with us.
Hi, everyone. Seth Gordon, super excited and honored to move into the role of Communications Director.
And Seth is just hitting the ground running, has been with North Clackamas for a while, and is just doing an amazing job. So thank you, Seth, for your work. Appreciate that. And Zoe. Zoe here. All right. Well, Zoe comes to us previously. Well, she's at CWA, but she was there at CWA previously, so she continues with us. Did I miss anyone? I just want to make sure that I didn't miss anyone that was here. Please speak up. Right. Well, thank you. Welcome, new administrators. You are free to stay with us, and you also have been putting in many hours. And so if you log off, we certainly understand, but you are more than welcome to continue with us on the screen as well. All right. Move us forward here. So as you heard us say, we continue to plan for full day in-person instruction 5 days a week for all of our students. And so we are moving forward with that. With the mask mandates, we will be requiring masks for all students, staff, and visitors when inside the buildings. And many of you are aware that we do have a new mask mandate that pertains to outdoors. And we will update everyone shortly on information regarding wearing masks or not wearing masks when we're outside. We just received new information today, and we'll continue to update that and get that guidance out soon. So stay tuned. As many of you know, we continue to work through the new requirements for all district employees and volunteers in which they have to now show proof of vaccination. This information continues to evolve, and we will keep folks informed as the newest information becomes available and we continue to move forward. And we just wanted to make sure that folks know and remind parents that we do have open slots in our virtual online program. Currently, our enrollment is slightly over 800 students, with another 100 students that have registered in the last 2 days. And so we will be adding them over tomorrow and Monday, but we do have space currently up to 990 students. And we have made a commitment that if we go above the 990 students, we will look at the enrollment and see what we can do to make it available to all that are interested. We have sent out communication this week to let our families know that August 27th is the final date to commit to in-person learning or our online program. However, we will accept rolling applications after that date on a case-by-case basis, depending on space and availability. We just wanted to make sure that people are aware that we continue to share information on vaccination clinics with our staff, students, and community, and are working hard to help those who are in need in finding available clinics. We do have clinics coming up soon at one of our school-based health centers at Rex Putnam High School. And we also are aware that Milwaukee High School is in the process of planning one. And so we want to make sure that folks know we are going to put this information on our website as well and make sure that it's easy access and easy for people to locate and find who are in need. And I'm going to talk a little bit about some of our bond projects that have been going on. We have been so fortunate as a community to have passed a bond measure a few years ago. And thank you to our community and to those who have worked on these projects in some way, shape, or form. This bond has touched almost every single building in our district in some manner. And we've really tried to highlight many of the upgrades, the rebuilds, and things that have been done to our buildings over the last few years. And tonight, we would like to show you two more highlights of the work that we have started. And so we'll start with New Irvin High School.
Courtyard area concrete is being formed and poured. The area is being graded for remaining sidewalks. Front entrance to the building is almost complete. Glass and windows is installed. Colored shading is up at the entrance. It's looking good. This is inside the new commons area. You can see that the guardrail is being installed around the second level. The lights and fans are complete. Those upper mesh things are actually, they spin so they can put art on them, and then they spin back. So it's kind of a neat feature that the architect designed here. These are all art displays, and you can angle them. It's pretty neat. This is the new media center. It's immediately adjacent to the commons, so both can be opened up and used as one if needed. This is our new art room. We just have to install the flooring this week, but it is a definite change from what we had before. So we're really excited to turn this over to the kids. There's a new lower level courtyard that leads into the new makerspace. This is the new admin office area. We are just wrapping up the finishes on it. This is our new staff lounge and production room. One of our new classrooms here at New Urban. It's almost complete. The new science room. This is the new science chemistry prep room. And then we will go into the new chemistry room. Another classroom. These rooms are basically done other than finishing up the tack boards, rubber base, and dropping the ceiling tiles in. This is our new gym. It is almost complete. Today and tomorrow they are installing the new bleachers, and this will be complete. This is our new parking lot on the north side and what will be a new green space area. The wall over here that is existing for the retaining wall is the old interior wall of the gym that used to be here.
you can see that we have a beautiful school that's being built for our students, and we can't wait for them to enter. Looks like Director Schradel wanted to either make a comment or has a question for us.
Yeah, it's a comment. It's first of all, I'd like to thank the taxpayers who passed the bond for this to make this possible. You know, the monumental improvement and of facilities for the students at New Urban. It's wow. I mean, it's just, that looks beautiful. I look forward to visiting it. And thank you to contractors, staff, and to the people who paid the bill. So thank you.
Thank you for that comment, because absolutely we are grateful, and it will change lives for our students. And so thank you. And we have another new building that was also part of our bond project, and it is another gorgeous building. We had a very special ribbon cutting ceremony recently for our newest high school, Adrian C. Nelson, and I'd like to show you a small clip of that ceremony. If you would like to watch the entire program, you can find it on the North Clackamas School District Facebook page. Here, just as we're looking at this, you see a beautiful, stunning competition-sized gymnasium that is, I can't wait to see our kids' faces when they walk into it. And it has been named fittingly the courthouse. I had a little chuckle as the wrestling room is titled the Full Nelson, and I can't wait to see what other clever names are created at this school as part of the tradition. So we'll share with you a little bit of the clip from there.
This is a grand opening of a building, but we all know that school is much more than a building. It's a community. In the months to follow, we will focus on our inaugural slogan, which is "Tradition starts here."
It's a proud day for us to be opening this school named after Oregon Supreme Court Justice Adrian C. Nelson. We are so proud of this representation and what it means to so many of us personally, for our community, and most importantly, for our students.
Imagine if we honored people all the time for their contributions when they were alive. That's what this moment is. She is community walking. She honors all people, all things, all realities for what they are.
Because this is a place where they belong, not just where they go to school. This is a place where they had a voice. This is something that belongs to them. So while they will have my name on it, and that's still blowing my mind, and I'm not used to it, I don't know if I'll ever get used to it, but it is about tradition starts here. Their legacy starts here. And they need to know that all of these people that are here today support and love them. And I just want to say to the students, I hope you feel my heart. I hope you know that I love you. I hope you know that I support you. You are now part of my family. So I will always be around when you need me. Maybe even when you don't. And I will be here walking and meeting and going to the games and cheering you on, because I am now part of you as you are of me. Thank you.
This is a grand opening of a building, but we all know that school is much more than a building.
There we go. I just want to thank our staff and our community again. We are impacting lives, and so many people have had a hand in making all of this magic come to life. So many departments that don't often get called out, and they're making amazing things happen during a pandemic when materials are hard to come by, budgets are difficult to reconcile with the changes in the pricing, hard to nail down, and we are experiencing staffing shortages like the rest of the world. And yet our staff deliver time and time again on behalf of our students. And so my sincere thank you. We have so much to be proud of and so much excitement, and folks that make hard work much lighter work. So I want to say thank you. And I also, again, want to welcome our administrators to our district.
So is that the end of your report, Superintendent?
That is the end of my report. I'll turn it back over to you, Director Bauer.
Well, let's go around and be sure that we collect any questions or comments. We'll start. I'll just go alphabetically. I'll be boring here. Director Benaloga, do you have any comments or questions?
I just want to thank Superintendent James for the presentation and just hearing about our new administrators. And I feel their excitement. So I'm very excited for the school year, and also appreciate the update on the buildings and where we are with the bond. So thank you all. Thank you for that.
Thank you, Director Benaloga. Director McVeigh? Director McVeigh, are you available? I'll come back. Director Schradel.
I kind of chimed in before, so I'll just say thank you to staff, community, my fellow board members, and our wonderful superintendent, Dr. Shay James.
Thank you, Director Schradel. Director Way.
Thank you. Really enjoyed that presentation, and also hearing all the different superpowers by our brand new administrators. That's always really fun to hear. And I just, I think want to acknowledge that as we're fully returning back to school, we just want to make sure we're keeping everyone safe. And we know that sometimes guidelines are changing, but really trust in the leadership of Director James and the decisions that we're making as a board to keep all of our community, teachers, staff, custodial folks, people who prepare our meals, down to our students, not least, in a safe environment. So just want to continue to emphasize that. And I also thank you, Dr. James, for sharing the piece about ongoing and upcoming vaccination efforts for anyone who chooses to vaccinate. That's definitely an option, and also another way to be safe as we're still dealing with some uncharted waters. So thank you.
Thank you, Director Way. Director McVeigh.
Sorry about that. I had to step away for a second. So thanks for sharing those videos. Welcome to administrators. Welcome, Dr. James, to your first superintendent's role, although you've been in it for quite a while now, or at least it feels that way. And I just want to say thank you to everyone to being so nimble as changes come down from ODE, and doing the right thing when we can, and it's much appreciated. I do look forward to a day when we can be back together in the boardroom, both in person and virtual, for those that can't make it to the boardroom. I know we're waiting on technology, and so hopefully by first part of October we'll be there if we can. But I'm excited for the new year, and I'm sure our kids are too. Probably the first time in a long time that kids are really excited to go to school.
Thank you, Director McVeigh. I think all other board members summed up what I was going to say, but I'll just add to the thank you. And the ever-changing variant, and you responding to that and responding to rules and mandates. I appreciate you and your staff. And I would encourage our public to read the resilience plan and click on some of those links, because there's more than just that. There's so much more information coming. But I appreciate our community sending us all the information on latest COVID data too, and ideas. So thank you all so much. Okay, so moving on, after superintendent's report, The next presentation, and it looks like it's on board book pages 17 to 42, is strategic planning. We have Chief of Staff Tiffany Sharman up, and I'll let you introduce your guests. Thank you for being here.
I will do so. Thank you, Vice Chair Bauer and directors. Tonight I have two guests. I'll introduce them here in just a second. I want to make sure that we can go ahead and share our screen. So Gail, Kathy, feel free to queue up your presentation. Thank you. Very good. So board, this evening, Tiffany Shireman, Chief of Staff, and tonight I'm here to initiate a revision to our current strategic plan. North Clackamas School District last underwent strategic planning in the 2017-2018 school year. And that current strategic plan that I know many of you find very familiar has served us very well. It's not lost on me that tonight is the night that my original copy has started to dog ear there a little bit, or small tear in it. It will serve us well through the rest of this school year. We are moving forward though in the revision of a new school year as this one, or a new strategic plan as this one sunsets at the end of this school year. As we look to initiating a new strategic plan, we sought out some organizational development experts who could support the school district in the development and then implementation of our next strategic plan. Following a request for information process and interviews, material reviews, more interviews, we found that Studer Education was an industry-leading firm whose processes and supports best aligned with the work ahead for North Clackamas. Their consultancy model is grounded in an inclusive stakeholder voice, valuing the diversity of thought within communities, and applying thoughtful organizational development principles. The two consultants that North Clackamas is working with will facilitate the bulk of tonight's presentation. Since June, our presenters have developed work plans and held trainings for the executive team, provided coaching for Superintendent James' executive team, focused on how to develop a school district that responds to today's needs while building strategic priorities for the future. It's a tricky endeavor, particularly right now in the climate and within our pandemic. So this notion of living in the today and planning for the future, it's been quite tricky. Dr. Gail Juno Butler joins us tonight, and she comes to this work with a strong background and focus on inclusive strategic plan design. Dr. Kathy Orapollo comes to this work with a long background of facilitating K-12 public school performance growth. Gail's work is primarily tied to the development of the strategic plan, and then Kathy's work is primarily tied to the implementation of the strategic plan. It's my pleasure to introduce both Gail and Kathy to you.
Thanks, Tiffany. Appreciate that so much. Thank you, Board of Directors, for providing some time for us to share tonight our work together. And what we're going to do is we're going to share two things: the pathway of the strategic planning process and how the organizational excellence work that we're doing with the executive team and the leadership will come together to not only develop a strategic plan, but also have a pathway for operationalizing a strategic plan. So I'll introduce Dr. Gail Juno Butler, and she's going to open this up for us. So Gail.
Thank you. Good evening, everyone. So glad to be a part of this process. May I borrow your language and that colorful graphic and wonderful videos and say, if I had to name my superpower in Studer Education, it's strategic planning. It's the work that I love. It's the work where I seem to land the most. And for the first time ever, I get to work with the partner that I am closest to. We started at the same time, Dr. Kathy Orapollo. So I think this is just right in terms of at least the energy that we bring to a partnership in a pretty unique and new way for the two of us. So as Kathy indicated, we are Studer Education. Studer Education is Huron. So Huron Consulting Group is our overarching title for our company. And we want to open with paying attention to what we value in an overall grand and overarching way. And that's, we approach our strategic planning work, our organizational excellence work with our diversity statement by living that out in all of the actions that we take and the engagements that we have with each other and you and your stakeholders. And that's, we embrace the different perspectives and draw on that strength in terms of diversity. So this strategic plan, it's nothing new to you, but the next version of it will only be as strong as we are to our diversity statement. And I will tell you that Kathy and I live that at the front of the value system of our work. On the right side, just a guide of the way that we approach the framework. It's our partnerships are across the country, and they're anchored in projects in which continuous improvement and performance excellence and organizational excellence are at the forefront. So as Tiffany indicated already, Kathy's the person who brings it all together, but it's easier to bring all together when there's a strategic plan to guide what those years or the cadence of the work will be. The second part I've already talked about. The strategic planning is part of our work, leadership training and development. We have a host of surveys. We provide coaching at multiple cascaded levels with teachers. And we help to build that system of what are the big aims, the goals, the accountability system, but not only the accountability system, what's the system for monitoring progress? How do we coach on agility? So a strategic plan is a document and it's fixed, but it only lives and breathes just as we do in humanness with agility of an organization as it shifts and moves over time too. And you'll see that bottom, which I think is important to you all, and it's certainly important to us. We have experience in the organizations with whom we work with on a daily basis for our contracts. Kathy, if you go ahead and go to the next slide, I won't take near so long. That was my setup slide. Why do we need a strategic plan? I'm talking to the choir here, but I want you to know from a Studer Ed perspective, it's a tool, it's a document, but it's also a communication plan. So rather than, or in the name of overcoming that often heard comment or statement at this moment in time of we have a lot of things that we throw at the wall and try to see what sticks. This is to overcome that approach to what do we do with work in this sort of post-pandemic environment to figure out what it is that's next. How do we galvanize around what's next? How do we make decisions? And then that communication piece of driving commitment. You know, the next part, a strategic plan comes from the vision, mission, those traditional values, the goals over a period of time, generally 5 years. So it's system thinking. So Kathy is the organizational excellence coach, and the entire system, at least in part, is generated from the way that we are inclusive and build the next model of North Clackamas based on stakeholder input and formalize that into direction for those critical few things that matter to improve. Keep on moving, Kathy. What is a strategic plan? I've already talked about as much engagement as possible. We've already set a really high standard in working with Tiffany and thinking through who possibly might want to be involved, who needs to be involved, who might we overlook. And we'll continue to do that every 2 weeks. We'll continue to have conversations about who's at the table, who's missing from the table. I've already talked about it's an organization's commitment to long-term goals and strategies in a focused direction. And it becomes that guiding framework that Dr. Laura Paulo will then assist you in moving into the it's late at night, operationalizing into actions around improvement. But it's not, it doesn't cover everything that we do. It's not one person's idea. It does not give you the how-to. This is only the goals. It's not the how-to part. And it's going to be responsive. It's going to be to some degree agile in terms of strategies that get to the goals over time. All right, Kath. Here's just two views. Ultimately, I think this is in alignment with everything you've said tonight. The big picture is how do we create pathways so that our students are future ready? That's the biggest of the aims. And in terms of the stakeholders, it's those traditional anchors that we look at, mission, vision, values, and looking at do we shift those? Do we change them all together? How do we use our anchors and adjust our anchors to ensure that we're serving in the ways that we wish to serve? Next slide, Kathy. You already know this, but it's a visual in a different way. We'll look at your vision. We'll look at your mission, your values. What we call pillars are those top priorities. So often that's around student success, team, finances, maybe community partnerships. It's those big rocks of a school district or an organization's desire in terms of vision. And then of course it begins to become more granular after the pillars and priorities in terms of goals and strategies. So just a different way to see the various parts of the strategic plan. Next slide, Kathy. Here's our process: discover, gather, analyze, talk to as many people as you indicate we need to talk to. So that's really part one. Talk to as many people, provide us with as many environmental scanning reference documents. Tiffany's already given many of those to Kathy and us to look at. And that's in the name of connecting the past and what's worked and what we want to keep with the connection to the future so that it's not entirely different, but it's building on what's worked. Second part is we begin to refine and we get input on whether we're heading in the right direction, kind of move from those big rocks to goals and strategies. That's part two. And then when we get to a good place of stakeholders feeling like we're on the right track and we're near the end, is when we move to the approval processes. So all of the approval channels, and then of course communicate that back to individuals who participated. I'm getting to the end of my section here. Next slide, Kathy. We do the facilitation of the gather and analyze phase that I talked about. We, again, begin with the heart of that diversity statement of ensure that the diversity of a district or organization is represented. This we have at this moment with Tiffany worked on who will participate at the executive team level. We're going to have the steering team level. So lots of individuals, lots of moving parts. for determining whether we're moving in the right direction, but also serving as ambassadors to cascade the progress throughout the organization. Next slide, Kathy. The discovery sessions, which I think this is the language of you guys, and we like it so much, we're borrowing it forever, Tiffany. The discovery sessions are when we'll actually meet with groups. We'll meet with groups face-to-face. If telephone works and that needs to happen, we will meet with groups that way. We can organize Zoom sessions, but they will mainly be around these open-ended questions here. So as we're sharing these, at some point it'll be your turn to think about what your contributions are from this perspective. In fact, I think that may be in October, but I'm sure someone can correct that if I'm not correct. I think it's at the October board meeting. But here's the questions. Imagine 5 years from now and the district's achieved its mission of empowering students to excel. What would a postcard say? How would we know we're successful? That's that creative energy question that gets people thinking in forward moving sorts of ways. And then the traditional questions, what's going well? What needs improvement? What are the values that matter most? I will take care of managing most of the logistics of the data and the transcriptions, but the steering theme will also be part of the analysis of the results, so that it's not Gail Juno Butler's perspective. It's Gail Juno Butler doing the heavy lifting, but organizing the work so that that any other leaders involved in the process can determine what's right and what's not right. All right, Kath. Here specifically, I talked about moving to October and having some time to think about your startup in this process. These are 2 questions we'll hope you'll think about. Are there priorities you believe are important as we initiate the strategic planning process? And are there desired outcomes or processes that are priorities for you? So again, in a more formal form in October, you'll respond. In terms of what else can we do to gather data and analyze, we might decide that we need to survey as a way to get more inclusion into the process. And our surveys not only ask yes/no questions and Likert scale questions, but there are comments included. So those can be valuable to the gather and analyze stage. And Tiffany and I talked about 4 languages that would be important to North Clackamas. So we're talking through how to provide that capability and make it as positive and smooth and effective as possible. So surveys are part of gather and analyze. Here's a potential timeline. You can see that this is basically a year-long process. So the goal would be to be ready to go by the time the next school year kicks off, by the time AY 22-23 kicks off. Next slide. I want you to know, and I think this may be my last slide, that, and I've referenced this, but a steering committee for North Clackamas will be the group. I, as the coach for the strategic planning process, will lean on to course correct or to enhance or to totally redirect how the strategic planning process is going. I'll facilitate that group. We'll look through the data, and I would really call this group the group that moves us in the right direction toward that launch of August. Next slide, Kathy. And this shows you that over time, and this begins to be Kathy's work, by the way. We create the strategic plan. From that strategic plan, we operationalize with the scorecard. That will be the tool for making it come to life. And once that happens, the scorecards become alive and well with owners in the various schools and departments. That's the next step.
Thanks, Gal.
Thank you.
So I'm just going to pause here on this slide as I share the part that that really moves us into continuous improvement, and also kind of as a connector to operationalizing that strategic plan. So what's wonderful about the strategic plan is it gives us those strategic priorities, but then as we operationalize it, the district scorecard helps build now the internal systems alignment, that image where you saw those arrows moving in the same direction. And as the district begins to cascade that to the work and to the strategic priorities and the actions that go along with that, the how that Gal was mentioning, then we begin to cascade that through the district. So we go from district scorecard to departmental and school scorecards eventually over time. Continuous improvement is really about just getting better at getting better. And so part of the work that we do with organizational excellence is we try to focus on how can we support you in that work. And to do that, we have what we call an organizational excellence framework. It starts with defining success. That's the work that you'll be doing with Gal. That's the work that you will be doing with your senior leadership team. And then beginning to develop leaders and people to really focus on what are those skills and those fundamental pieces that are important to lead a system. And then we work on processes what we call always actions that create the habits and the behaviors so that we can execute on the work that we're doing. There are three fundamental things we do when we talk about execution. We work on accountability, and not from a punitive sense, but from a you can count on me as a member of this shared team. We work on reliability. Did we do what we said we were going to do? And we work on consistency. Are we creating routine protocols and processes that we consistently do to help with the success of any execution that we have? These things rest on the 9 principles of organizational excellence. These are leadership skills that we develop, and they're really important. So let me share with you those 9 principles that we build our leadership work around. You can see that we start with the first principle, that's commit to excellence. Really powerful piece. You know, it's about the commitment, and the work that you're doing with strategic plan is a way of really showing that commitment. As you notice these and you look at these, there'll be areas of strength and things that you're already doing really well. And then there'll be areas where you may want to know more or take a deeper dive with. That's some of the work that we'll do together. The other thing that we focus on is people first. We work around that idea of engaging people, then working on service is everything, culture. So we go from people to culture. How do we build a culture around improvement, a culture around service? We introduce strategies, we introduce tactics, we introduce tools so that we can help with the execution of those things and the consistency and reliability of those things. And then that helps us accelerate results. So my work primarily is really supporting the leadership development, supporting the strategic priorities, providing tools and resources and tactics that will help us get there, and also creating opportunity for people to come together and have shared ownership over those strategic priorities. So before we close, we just wanted to pause to see if there were any questions for us tonight.
Thank you. Let's do a quick round robin again. Director Benaloga, any questions, comments?
Yes, thank you. Thank you so much. It was a very detailed report. I appreciate that. I actually had went to your website today. I was the last couple of days to listen to some of the podcasts, so I appreciate that. It's good information. I'm glad to hear you talk about diversity and equity inclusion. I do think they're not, I understand that there are a lot of the language is out there, but we really want to focus on that as a district. Really want to focus on, I hope you noticed with our administrators this evening as they were getting introduced, how many of them are from the district, but from other that started in another position or have been with the district for a while. And that's absolutely something that we want to continue to focus on. I think when we honor our staff, we also honor our students and we honor the history of North Clackamas. So I think that's a wonderful way for us to continue to have wonderful educators and be bringing up some very successful students in our district. So I appreciate it and I look forward to hearing more and finding out more about how we're going to move forward. So thank you.
Thank you, Director Benaloga. Director McVeigh?
Nothing for me, except I'm looking forward to the process.
Great, thanks. Director Schradel?
I have no feedback other than to say thank you.
Great, wonderful. Director Wade?
Thank you for the presentation. I also found it very informative, and this will be my second review of working on our strategic plan. So it's very exciting that we're going to continue to work with stakeholders, prioritize community involvement. And I think it would just be very interesting to see how we're going to do a lot of these gatherings in light of just what's currently happening right now. And a lot of us are still working in a remote meeting space. So I'm sure you all will have lots of ideas, but I think I'm really just excited about some of the things that you mentioned around involving youth voices. I think is very important. We're hopefully starting up a committee this year that is really just focused on youth and their leadership and perspective on things. So really excited about this, and thank you so much. And as Director Benaloga also referenced, I think retaining, hiring, continuing to diversify our workforce is so important. So I just want to continue to echo the diversity, equity, and inclusion values that we have in our district to move us forward. So thank you.
Thank you, all board members. Great comments. I think I'll just add that I liked the phrase bringing people together, because we need that more than ever. And this and take advantage of the opportunities that we have to learn from the last couple years, the change in education. So thank you so much. Anything else, Director or Chief of Staff, Chairman?
Vice Chair Bauer, we will be back together on this topic for strategic planning on our October 14th board meeting. Just to prep you a little bit for that, we're hoping to have a less formal presentation and more of a informal discussion, seeking your input on in a discovery session kind of format with some open-ended questions, and just to prepare you for that setting October 14th. Thank you.
Great. Well, thank you. And thank you, Dr. Juno Butler and Dr. Ora Paulo. Look forward to working with all of you. Great. Okay, next on our agenda is board reports. Yeah, you can't wait to hear. Do you mind starting, Director Benaloga, again? I'm going to pick on you tonight.
Thank you, Vice Chair. Yes, so I just have a few things. So I did attend the Equity Symposium. It's an online, it was a virtual symposium. And quite interesting, I attended the School Resource Officer webinar, also restorative justice. Very interesting, but their keynote speaker was Dr. Ivory Toldson, very interesting about educational equity. And he talked about BS or bad statistics, and really talked about how we look at data and how we sometimes create surveys and create data that don't actually get us the answers that we need. It was very, very interesting. He actually wrote a book, and I think it would be very interesting to read that. But he was a great speaker, and I learned quite a bit, so I appreciate that. Appreciate the opportunity to attend. Also have been involved with the PCLA. We are working on a guiding framework as we move forward, working on leadership, and then working on parent and community involvement within North Clackamas. Always appreciate the work that the PCLA does. And I've been involved with the policy committee because we have started up in August. And I look forward to the other committee assignments that I have that will start next month. Thank you, Vice Chair.
Great, thank you. Director McVeigh. Did we lose Director McVeigh? You're mute.
I said it's been, sorry about that.
You have to repeat now.
Okay. I said it's been pretty quiet for me. I just finished up on a big vacation for celebrating our 30-year anniversary. So, but I was able to attend the Adrian C. Nelson ribbon cutting, and that was amazing. It was jaw-dropping as I walked through the building, and I'm so happy for the students and faculty that will be inside those four walls, and the community that will be able to appreciate it also. So looking forward to a new school year and back to duties.
Thank you, Director McVeigh, and congratulations on your anniversary. Let's see, Director Schrodel.
Thank you. I was able to attend remotely the ribbon cutting for Adrian C. Nelson. It was great to see that, and the drum line was incredible to watch. So I enjoyed that. And then I've been doing my policy stuff, and I look forward to seeing everybody soon.
Wonderful, thank you. Director Wade.
Yes, likewise, I saw most of the directors here at the ribbon cutting grand opening ceremony at Adrian C. Nelson High School. Just whoever was doing a lot of the community outreach, just amazing job. It was great just to see so much community support, and I really liked the welcoming by, I think it was the cheer or the dance students with their pom-poms. It's just so much pride already in building that new tradition that is the slogan of the new school. So really exciting for that. I am also excited to start my new committee assignments as well, and have been brainstorming some ideas, especially around the youth leadership committee that's brand new in terms of just the makeup composition of who will be getting involved. So looking forward to next steps.
Thank you. My board report, basically, I also attended the dedication, and it was so heartfelt, and everything everyone said was so true. Tradition starts here is a great motto. I serve on the Bond Oversight Committee, and we had our second to the last meeting, which is good news. We're coming to the end of that 2016 bond process, and this is another celebration. And we saw some of that tonight with the film of Adrian C. Nelson and New Urban. We have 58 of 65 months planned projects complete. Our last meeting will be October 2021. But what hits me the most is, and I think this might have been said by our superintendent earlier, is that it was such a, and Director Schradel said that it involved the whole community, and thank you to the community. It was done so smartly. We had such a great group of experienced staff and the oversight committee. They leveraged more dollars with high bond ratings, matching dollars, interest earned for more projects to be complete. And New Urban will give a sense of value to that community and those students and teachers there, that they were going to school in such an old building. So much to be celebrated there also. And thanks to our efficient staff, oversight committee, bond, the budget staff, how transparent that is too. So also PCLA, was involved in the bylaws, going over that, developing that, and they also endorsed North Clackamas school plan going back to school, or the reopening plan that the district is presenting. So that's all I have. Let's move on. After board reports, quarterly financials. That's on, I think, board book page 43. We have Gay Ellen, our budget director, coming up to report. Welcome, Gay Ellen.
Good evening. I'd like to share some highlights from the financial report for the quarter and year ended 6/30/2021. Our projected ending fund balance has increased $7.3 million from the last estimate, which was presented in the 2021-22 adopted budget. The current estimated ending fund balance for the 2020-2021 fiscal year is $41.5 million. This increased ending fund balance provides the district with much needed resources as we move into the next biennium. Unlike any time in the past, these resources will be used for our increased need for temporary staffing, more Chromebooks, increased staffing for our virtual online program, contact tracing, mental health, and other increased needs, as well as to offset any loss of anticipated revenue due to potential enrollment decreases. This report includes the following major changes to revenue. The state school fund has been increased for the May state school fund reconciliation of $6 million and $1 million increase for the high cost disability grant. The report also includes 4 significant decreases to expenditures. These were $1.4 million decrease in benefits due to having more temporary employees who did not qualify for some or all benefits. A $2.9 million decrease in purchase services and a $900,000 decrease in supplies and materials, due largely to reduced need for both of these during the pandemic and an inability to get certain supplies and services because of supply chain issues. Lastly, there was an $800,000 decrease in the transfers out of the general fund, which resulted from not needing to transfer as much to the nutrition services fund, as the nutrition services fund ended with a positive ending fund balance rather than the deficit that we were anticipating if we had been in a regular school year. As part of the financial report, you also have the investment reports showing the type of investment, maturity date, and the fund for which the investment is held. Interest rates continue to decline, but the district is working to maximize investment in the local government investment pool and maintains a very healthy cash flow. Are there any questions?
Any questions? Just go ahead and raise your hand. I'll recognize you. Don't see any questions. Well,
this is
Director
Tori.
McVeigh, go ahead.
Thank you. So that's a really high fund balance, but I'm not sure that it, based on what I'm hearing and what we looked at a year ago with what we anticipate with PERS in the next couple of bienniums. Should we talk about that, or will that be on an upcoming board meeting? Or
I'm happy to talk about it right now. One of the things that we know is that the PERS board met and they lowered the assumed rate. They also took off the double collar, so we will only have a single collar, which means that our rates can go up more than they would have gone in prior periods. I think we have seen the last possible reduction in this biennium that we will see for at least, I would say probably 5 biennia. It's they've by lowering the assumed rate, which they needed to do, it gets us to a more reasonable starting point, but it does mean that our unfunded actuarial liability is more true to what it really is. It's going up, and so we will need to have higher rates to offset that unfunded actuarial liability in future years. So we need to assume that our rate will go up by a minimum of probably close to 4% in the next biennium.
Did you say increase by an additional 4? Oh.
Yeah,
Okay.
between 3 and 4% is what, and probably closer to 4. I'm guessing closer to 3.7, but it really depends on how we'll get estimated rates at the end of this year based on where the stock market ends, or well, what their earnings were. Mostly it's in stock as of 12/30, and they give you estimated rates. And then the following year, we get our final rates for the next biennium.
Would last question for me? Do you of the future, what gives you the most heartache in terms of either revenue or on the expense side?
I would say probably the expense side more than the revenue side. I do believe that once the ESSER funds are spent, the state will realize, oh yeah, this really was one-time funding, and we're going to have to step up. It may mean we won't have as rapid growth as we may have needed or wanted, but I think by that time we will have seen the first real hit from PERS, and then any other increases. I do think that we're seeing modified increases in product that we need that will temper as the supply chain gets better at the end of the pandemic. So I don't foresee that we're going to see this continued upswing like inflation as far as prices are concerned, but I do think that we're going to see other factors cause our expenditures to go up more rapidly.
Thank you.
Hopefully that helps.
Any other questions? Thank you. If anything, just the varied fund balance from 12.5 to now 17.8 or 0.18 just in a quarter is, amazing, but it's going in the right way. But thank you for the tip about what to think about in the future. Good question. Director McVeigh.
Thank you very much.
Thank you, our budget director, for your hard work here and answering our questions too. Thank you. Okay, so after quarterly financials is digital curriculum adoption, and that is on page 48 of our board book, and we have Yvonne Dibley, our Assistant Superintendent of Education. Thank you.
Hi, good evening, Vice Chair Bauer and Board of Directors. According to the Oregon Department of Education's Ready School Safe Learners Resiliency Framework, districts providing an online program needed to bring forward an independent adoption. And before I move forward, I want to make sure we have our slides up. Stafford. I just want to make sure that we have all of our information. There you go. Great. So as I said, the resiliency framework necessitates that districts providing an online program needing to bring forward an independent adoption for board consideration for the digital curriculum, which represents core instruction for our students enrolled in our program. We are committed to ensuring that the curriculum meets our district's vision, goals, and objectives. And our program administrator, Stafford Boyd, will present how this curriculum aims to address these objectives. Stafford?
Yes, thank you, Yvonne. And thank you, Board of Directors. The first of our proposed curricula is Edgenuity courseware for grades 6 through 12. This is the online curriculum we used last year for all VOP students, kindergarten through 12th grade. Edgenuity offers core curriculum, world language, advanced placement, CTE, and elective courses designed to help students in grades 6 through 12 meet the rigor of the Oregon state standards. The video-based instructional model that emulates best practices from the classroom and engages students in rigorous multimodal learning means students can watch expert teachers model skills and concepts to support focused and contextual learning. As you can see in these student lesson examples from a middle school language arts course, the standards aligned outcomes are made clear to students in each lesson. The instruction is designed to engage students through the use of multimodal instruction, providing ways for students to interact with the content in ways that are responsive to various student needs. For instance, each lesson allows students to go at their own pace, use text-to-speech features, take notes, view captions and transcripts of audio instruction, and have the transcripts translated into 17 languages. Additionally, Edgenuity allows teachers to customize courses for a whole class, smaller groups of students, or to respond to an individual student's needs. While teachers can remove and add content to each course at the start of each quarter, the real potential for customization in Edgenuity to meet students' needs resides in the assessment systems of the curriculum. Robust data systems, such as this example on top of this slide, enable teachers to monitor student engagement, progress, and achievement. By pinpointing student growth and progress, teachers can respond with individual support or acceleration. And Edgenuity offers multiple assessment types for teachers to see student progress, like the sample computer-graded quiz and written response you see here. Luckily, teachers have the ability to prioritize and adjust the written response assessment types to make them more responsive, relevant, and rigorous, as well as manually give feedback and score this deeper performance-based type of learning. Last year, VOP parents and staff found Edgenuity to be challenging for elementary age students. After research and networking with other Oregon districts, our elementary team identified Florida Virtual School as a viable option. Through Florida Virtual Online Curriculum, elementary students have access to standards-aligned core curriculum for language arts, math, science, and social studies. As these examples from an intermediate math lesson demonstrate, Florida Virtual, like Edgenuity, makes the standards-based connections explicit for students and parents in each lesson. Courses include engaging content, interactive games and practice, entertaining videos, and audio clips. Each lesson allows students to go at their own pace, use text-to-speech features, choose content-specific tools and resources, and access printable worksheets, which the district will provide to all families to increase tactile engagement during the learning. Florida Virtual Online Curriculum also allows teachers to customize courses for the whole class, smaller groups of students, or to respond to an individual student's needs. Integral to the design of each module of instruction, as you can see here from examples of teacher resources and course customization features, are discussion-based assessments. The video recording features in Florida Virtual for student submission of work and teachers' feedback to students requires that each student use oral language to make sense of and demonstrate understanding of content, which is particularly vital for English language learners. Teachers can also remove and add content and assessments to each course at any time during a module to make them more responsive, relevant, and rigorous. In preparation for this school year, we sought the perspectives of parents, staff, and students in regards to our online curriculum. Online access to sample lessons from both Edgenuity and Florida Virtual were sent to VOP families, staff, and secondary students in August via email, along with a short survey in the 5 most prevalent home languages of VOP VOP families. The survey asked people to rate each of the proposed curricula on a scale of strongly agree to strongly disagree for the 6 criteria listed in the table here, which were crafted based upon language from our district strategic plan and the VOP program extension proposal, which was approved by the board in April. The survey also asked what was most important to consider and if there was anything else they wanted to share regarding online curriculum. In 9 days, we received 27 responses from parents, 7 from staff, and 3 from students. Of note, 6 parent responses were in languages other than English. Compared to the demographics of VOP student enrollment at the time of the survey, Hispanic and Black parent perspectives were underrepresented. And I conducted a conversation with 2 focus students following the survey, one that receives IEP services and one emerging bilingual student for additional feedback. An overview of what was shared from this engagement included that a large number of parents responded neutral to many of the criteria and included numerous comments about the challenges of evaluating curriculum they had not experienced with their children in real time, particularly the Florida virtual, since we didn't use it last year. The top strength identified by staff in both curricula was that they promoted student agency and autonomy, while the top challenge in both was allowing for multiple ways of student expression. While this information is useful to inform our formal adoption recommendation to the board, an additional value is opening up the conversation with parents, staff, and students about how we might better understand the assets and constraints of each curriculum so that this year we can use the curriculum well during implementation in ways that are responsive, relevant, and rigorous for each student. I look forward to continuing these conversations as we get into the school year. Finally, the next 4 slides include a robust number of comments that are representative of the multiple perspectives shared regarding our online curriculum. These help paint a picture of things we might consider in order to provide all students that have chosen our temporary virtual online program this year, primarily to meet the health needs of families during the COVID-19 pandemic, with a high quality, well-rounded educational experience that is rigorous, culturally responsive, personalized, and engaging. And I will just pause on the next few slides so everyone has a chance to read some of the comments. And with that, Yvonne, I will turn it back over to you.
Yeah, thank you so much, Stafford. Board of Directors, I will be bringing this item up for a vote on September 9th, and we are happy to take any questions that you may have at this time.
Maybe we should do a round robin just to be sure we get all questions. Director Benaloga, any questions?
Yes, thank you for the presentation. I appreciate it. Lots of good information. And I appreciate that we're looking at this critically and really asking ourselves what we can do to improve, what can we build upon after the last year. I did have a question about the responses from the survey. You said 27 parents, 7 staff, and 3 students. That doesn't seem like a lot of engagement, and it's a little concerning that people didn't engage in the survey and really have their voices heard. So is there more we can do, or do we have an idea of what is the percentage of the people that responded that had the opportunity to respond?
Absolutely. I think it was a little bit over 24-25%. Stafford, you can correct me on that, of the individuals that were actually in the program at that time. And I think something that's important to recognize is that as we move through this year, we are going to be connecting with our families and our staff and our students. So I think while the process was a little bit truncated to ensure that we are meeting the needs of Division 22 and having this independent adoption happening at this moment, we are still going to be assessing and encouraging our parents and our staff and our students to engage as we assess further.
Well, and thank you for that. I appreciate that. I think it's so important that we continue to look at it critically and find those pieces where it's not fitting and it's not working very well for our staff and for our families. Absolutely. And then are we, I noticed that the staff, there were some staff comments where there's some concern about the curriculum pieces that are missing. how are we addressing that? And then what kind of extra work are we looking at for teachers that are now learning this online program and then maybe needing to fill in the gaps? How are we supporting that?
I think I can answer, just give a little context for that. So because the online environment is unique, very similar to last year, we can structure our time a little bit differently. And so we actually have, while we meet, it's like at the elementary school, we will still meet with a morning meeting on Wednesdays. That's time for students and families to work and teachers to come together. So we have a weekly time to come together, and this is the focus of those Wednesdays times of staff working together and professional learning, is to make first is to listen to what our students and parents are saying, how the curriculum is serving or not serving our students, and then to make the adjustments and to make the customizations that the curriculum allow, so that we can be more responsive. So that's one of the primary reasons we shifted to Florida Virtual, because in terms of its customization for elementary students, it's much more customizable. So again, at the whole class, small group, and individual level. So it's really just devoting the time through the year that we have for our staff to engage in professional learning. This is the primary focus.
All right, well, thank you. And I just want to thank the district and the executive team for continuing our virtual online program. I think we have many families that are going to be taking advantage. As we've heard, there's over 800. I think it's really important that we are improving upon that and still continuing to have this available. So I just want to have our gratitude to the district for continuing the program and for continuing to look at it critically and make the improvements that we need to make. So thank you so much.
Thank you, Director Benaloga. Director McVeigh?
Great presentation. Just quick question. Printable worksheets. Does that mean people will have worksheets printers at home, or am I not understanding the concept?
Yeah, so the curriculum was intentionally designed, is designed for something we think of as like an online charter or online school, where it's completely independent and students and parents are not getting any support from teachers. Teachers are just monitoring progress. Since we do have the ability to, again, provide a licensed teacher to provide support, a key component of instructional design is, if you're in a lesson, it says print this worksheet. So the expectation is parents would have a printer. We need to make sure that we're providing that. So we've already, for the first quarter, produced workbook copies of all those printables, and we have a Chromebook and materials pickup scheduled next week for all our elementary families. And so we're providing those worksheets, so then parents and students can just grab them when directed by the curriculum.
Director McVeigh, what I would add to that is that we've heard from our parents that they really want to interact in a setting that isn't necessarily online. So just providing the opportunity for our young learners to engage in their learning without having to be in front of a screen was also an important balance for us.
Great. Thank you, Director McVeigh. Director Schradel? This is your area. Stephen, are you there? Did I lose him for a minute? Let's go on to Director Way. We'll come back to Director Schradel.
Thank you, Vice Chair Bauer. Yeah, just really great comments and questions from other board members around this, and thank you for the presentation from the team. I just have, I'm just trying to understand how the recommendation that is going to being brought forward will continue to support our IEP students and ELL language learners. It sounds like, this is a little bit, it's better to serve those student communities, but can you explain, maybe not going into, super high detail, but just what would be the differences that we can expect to see with adopting the, trying to get this right, the Florida virtual school?
Yeah, I think so. I think there's two things that I can think about. So actually just met with our special education team earlier today, And especially for instance, special education students that really are working as part of their individual needs is working on their executive function and trying to focus on task, that this environment and then the structure and the repeated structures of these online curriculum really serve them in being able to stay focused on a task and then work on those actual behavior goals that they have in their IEP. So that it's actually we're finding certain students are being much more successful in this online format with the appropriate curriculum and supports than they were in person. So that's just an example. For our English language learners. Again, I think that a reason why, and it's in some of the comments that are in the slideshow from our staff, is that Edgenuity for our elementary students in general, but especially for our language learners, was very hard to access because it's very language heavy. And so having these discussion-based assessments as part of each module in every content area as part of the design puts us in a position to really leverage the oral language of all students, but then again, to really embed the language supports then and language scaffolds that those students need as part of their service delivery.
In Director Way, what I would add to that is just that academically, right, there are universal supports for all students that are really, their intention is to support those language aspects or the needs of some of our special education, or students receiving special education services. So for example, if a student can go back and review an instructional video that is supportive because they're going to listen to it multiple times and they have the time to attain the information versus maybe being in an in-person classroom and listening to the teacher once and maybe missing some of that information. The scaffolding that is done for language supports is important, as Stafford showed earlier in the slideshow, how there's language supports and there's ways in which you can do speech to text or read alouds. All of those are universal supports that not only benefit our language learners and our students receiving special education, but are available for everyone.
Great. Thank you so much. That answers the questions that I have. And thank you for the presentation. And again, really happy that, over 800 enrolled so far in this program. So just shows the growing need and the popularity of this option for our families. So thank you.
Thank you, Director Way. We'll circle back to Director Schradel. I think we lost you when it was your turn, but we'll give you another chance.
Yeah, no, my computer froze. And so I did hear my questions answered when I joined back in about ESL. So I will pass my time on.
Okay, great. And my questions were also answered. And I want to thank you for a great presentation and a successful program with numbers building. Thank you. Okay, now on to policy revisions, one of our favorite, and Chief of Staff Tiffany Sharman, you're back.
I'm back. Good evening again, all. Tonight I'm coming forward with the first reading of 5 revised policies. I'm not seeking action from you tonight. That will come at a later meeting. The Policy Review Committee has reviewed and recommends the policy revisions that I'm sharing this evening. The policies are that we're reviewing tonight with proposed language are all 5 from the B section of the North Clackamas policies. These all directly relate to the workings of the school board and have come forward through governance requests as a result of the governance meeting back on May 6th of this year and in discussions between board leadership and the superintendent. So as a reminder, the board met in governance session back on May 6th, and board members provided many comments regarding board governance. In order to arrive at some of the new proposed language, we've consulted with the Oregon School Boards Association, reviewed sample policy language from other districts and from the Oregon School Boards Association, and conferred with board legal counsel Jolly Patterson to make sure that we were moving in an appropriate manner. I'm available for any questions you may have. All 5 proposed change B policies are in your board packet.
I can see you all. Go ahead and raise your hand if you have a question. No questions. Wow, you've done great work. I appreciate all the work. I mean, you mentioned the process we've been going on. It's involved a lot of people putting a lot of thoughts down, and policy committee is, we spend a lot of time talking over every word, and I appreciate it. Appreciate your leadership.
Of course.
Okay, thank you. We're moving right along. So policy after that is, the last agenda item. It is Transportation Supplemental Plan Walk Zone, page 75. And we have Assistant Superintendent of Operations, Cindy Dutchin. I'll let you introduce any others.
Thank you. Yes, I do have Director of Transportation, Kathy Calkins, and Assistant Director that was introduced in our video this evening, superhero dad, I believe, and that is James Pritchard as well. They're here to address any questions that you may have. On August 12th, we presented to you our addendum to the 2017 Transportation Walk Zone Supplemental Plan. Just as a reminder, we want to make sure that we have safe passage and routes for all of our students to get to their schools. There are certain limits of walk zone areas that are provided by the state, and they provide supplemental funding for us. However, we don't receive that extra funding if we are transporting students in an area that is deemed safe. And fortunately for our students and for our communities and for safe passage to schools, we have several new areas in the community where there have been roadway improvements, there have been sidewalk additions, and so a lot of these areas are now deemed safe and students can walk to school. In addition to that, there are some minor changes, but we will come back to you periodically with these changes as our team goes out and evaluates all of these areas. We told you last time we had been in communication with a few of the parents who were affected, just asking questions and clarifying. We've not received any since then. And so I told you I would bring those back to you had we had any major concerns. At this point, we are seeking your approval for that addendum to the 2017 Transportation Walk Zone Plan.
So any questions before I ask for a motion? This is an action item. Don't see any questions, so the floor is open for a motion.
Director Benaloga, I move board approval of the superintendent's recommendation, approval of the addendum to the 2017 Transportation Walk Zone Supplemental Plan.
Is there a second? Properly moved. Second?
Director Way, second.
Thank you, Director Way. Any discussion needed? If none, then let's do a roll call vote. Director Benaloga?
Aye.
Director McVeigh?
Aye.
Director Schradel?
Aye.
Director Way?
Aye.
And myself, an aye. So the motion passes that we have adopted approval of the addendum to the 2017 Transportation Walk Zone Supplemental Plan. A lot of work. Again, appreciate all of your hard work on this and bringing it back to us. So if there's no other business, I would like to adjourn.
Thank you.
Thank you, board members, staff, community. Stay healthy. Remember, this is all about the students and the staff and keeping our schools open. We all need to work together. This is my one statement, and lead with our hearts. I was recently reading a book to my 3.5-year-old granddaughter, and it was give from the heart and you receive from the heart. So stay safe. Have a good evening. Take care.
Take care, everyone.
Good night, everyone.
Night.
Bye.